welcome to your first Hedgehog Hollow video for your May box. So I'm going to take you through this month. They are going to kind of build on one another. So I put them in this email in order. The first thing I've done is taken all 4 of my base cards. You'll also have some extra card stock for colouring on. But I've scored these 4 in half using the Scor-Buddy. That's my preferred score. It's a nice size, so you can see here it's not that big. And when you pop your piece on here, you have a star there, which is your 4 1/4 for your regular fold, or if you had a long one, of course you could score here at 5 1/2. But I find this size is absolutely plenty for most of the things I do. I love that it stores the bone folder at the top here, the crease tool. I do crease on both sides to prevent cracking. You have some Nina Solar White in your box this month, which is my preferred for base cards. So let's take one of our base cards and we're going to fold it in half. Of course, that score is already in there nicely, and I use a Teflon bone folder. I did convert over, I've mentioned it in a few other videos. The Teflon is by far and away my favourite, plus of course you can use your coupon on it as well. I just find it's less creasing, less marks, and less cracking if I haven't pre-scored my card as well. So for this one, we're going to put it this way around, and I'm going to line it up with the grid on my board. So I use the Tim Holtz glass mat. There are still some available from Allen Hudson, and a shipment is on its way of more to the US. And I'm going to just place my piece on here. And you'll have to excuse my head coming a little bit into the frame for just a second. Like that. So that way I've got this piece lined up with this line, so I know it's straight, or as straight as I can be against the bottom there. And I'm actually going to extend it a little bit further. I'm going to extend it down to 1 1/2 inches. So again, I've just lined that up with these lines here. So this is the 1 inch post-it tape. You can get it in varying sizes, but I just find the 1 inch is perfect for most things. So I've just taped that across, and now I'm going to start with some Nuvo mousses. So I have chosen here the Lilac Lavender, the Peony Pink, the Aquamarine, and this is one of the newer ones, the Toasted Almond. Now you could do this technique with Distress Oxides, with Distress Inks, any blendable ink, or you could go with the mousses. I wanted to show you a slightly different way to do them. If you do have them ever dry out and you need to add some water to them, please do try to use distilled water. It will prevent mold or any other growths on your mousses as well. So you can see they're beautiful colours, real ice cream, excuse me, ice cream colours. Again, I'm using the Nuvo double-ended blender brushes. These are very much like my barber's brushes, but Tonic had sent me some to play with, and I didn't have any that I designated to the mousse, so I'm using these. So I'm going to start by dabbing into here. I'm going to start just putting down some circles of colour. Nowhere in particular, just putting down some patches of colour. And we want to go edge to edge. So you want to go all the way up to your crease line and all the way down to the bottom here. And I'm then going to just start working with some of the different colours and just try to break them up a little bit as well. And we'll go some pink. And the more you put on, the more you build up that colour. So I'm going to go back and add a little bit more of that purple just to intensify it a little. You can see I'm working in a circular motion, almost coming out with a Bokah style background. If any of you are into your photography, you might recognise that. And now I'm just filling in any white areas as well. Plus, if it comes out too intense, you can take one of these lighter colours and you can put it over the top, which would give you a less intense option, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cloth. This is one of the washcloths. This is actually the remnants of the washcloths we used last month for some of those fur techniques. I have a whole pack of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to polish. So think of like burnishing glitter. You can see there's a little gap down there that I want to fill in with some pink. But what this does is it just smooths everything out. You can probably hear the girls outside of my room. We're a little hive of industry here. Stair gates going up and cleaning bunnies and things. Actually put a little bit down here too. So you can just keep working till you're happy with the result that you've got. Again, I'm going to just polish this up. Sometimes it also helps if I just add a little spritz of water, so just a small spritz. These are all items that you also, if you order the tools box, they will be in your tools box. You've got these brushes to play with. You have that lovely light mist bottle as well. Okay, so I'm just going to lift this up, move it to the side. Pop your lids back on. You do want to pop them on nice and firmly. As I say, if you're going to put water or anything in them to paint with, do use distilled water. Otherwise, we have seen people who get mold growths and things, and that's purely because of anything that might be in the water that develops in there. Cleanup wise, same cleanup I always do. Just grab a baby wipe and it will wipe straight off. So super simple clear out there, it just wipes away. So now we're ready to stamp out our images, which is always a fun thing. So I took some of the remaining cardstock and cut it in half, so it's card front size. I just find that easier to work with. Now I'm going to use my bigger bar magnet to hold it down, and then my other magnets I have here covered in duct tape. Just so that if they do snap together, A, it's easy to slide them apart or pick them up here. They've got these little tails on. Or also, if they did happen to smash together and break, you can get some really sharp edges on magnets. This just prevents anything like that. So I am now going to stamp out some of the popsicles and the cones. I'm going to stamp them all out because if I don't use them on this card, we'll definitely use them on one of the cards. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space. So I didn't buy the coordinating dies because I have my scan and cut. We did put a coupon in for the coordinating dies if you wanted those, and they are in the email that these videos are in as well. So you have the choice whether you want them this month or not. So this will save me some work on the future cards. And actually while I'm at it, I'm going to fill up this piece of paper with some of the mice as well, who I know we're using in other cards. So this is another great thing about Stamp Press is we can load it up like this. And we'll use the cherry. And that's pretty much, I think, as many, maybe if I turn it that way. So when I do my scan and cut, I either do the 0.2 or the 0, depending on how much outline I want. For these, I'm probably going to go with a 0.2 outline because I'd like a little bit more white space around them, just so they pop when I put them up. But that will be plenty for all of those to work. So I can pick them all up on my lid like this. I'm taking the Hero Arts Hero Hues. This is a dye-based ink pad, so you can use your Copics or any alcohol-based markers with it. If you wanted to use watercolours, you'd need to use a alcohol-based ink, or of course you could use a hybrid because that works with everything. I just happen to have this one out on my desktop. I probably have half a dozen or so black inks, and I vary between them. Hybrid tends to be my favourite, but because I already have my Copics out to colour this one with, then I just decided to go with it. Let's just ink up our little mice a little bit more. And this is the travel size Tim Holtz platform. Again, you can use your coupon against this, but these are really, really great. I think it's a perfect size for us card makers as well. These stamps are a little bit sticky because they are brand new. I'm actually going to stamp out a second one. You don't necessarily need to do this until we see the videos, because it just depends what I'm going to use. But again, a great thing about Stamp Platform and the Scan and Cut is I can cut multiples at once, so I can have all of my images pre-cut, and so when we're using the future video, or the other 3 videos for this set, you'll see them there as well. So here's everything when it's been cut. I ended up doing 4 sheets, you can see there, with some of the other mice on and things as well. I went with the 0.04, that's the smallest outline you can get. And if you haven't seen my scan and cut video, I made this for myself. So this is what it's like in a 0, so it's right on the line, then a 0.04, 0.08, and so on, up to about 0.2. That's the, I mean, you can go much higher, but that's definitely the highest that I would ever go, and very rarely. But I find this really handy. I've laminated it, and it just sits next to my scan and cut, so I can choose the outline that I want for my project. Now this is a brand new mat, so it's super, super sticky. So when I remove things from the mat, I actually curl the mat under, and my pieces just come straight up, and I don't have any issues with sticking or tearing or any of those kinds of things. So if you have a scan and cut and you've had issues in the past when you've had a new mat, then just do that and curl it up. So I'm just going to pick out a few things here. Not sure which ones we'll use yet. And so I've also got the sentiment set, and I wanted to point out we are aware that you can't buy happiness, you can't buy ice cream, that we've got the wrong buy in there. So you will be getting a replacement set, either just of this piece here, either in next month's box, or if you don't have next month's box, then you'll just get it in regular mail. So that will be coming out to you as well. So the magic on this piece here is now we tear away, or peel away I should say, not tear, let's hope it doesn't tear, our lovely pieces there. So you can see we've got that great strip that we can then put our ice cream in. So I'm going to work out which ice creams I'm going to put in here. I'm going to go with those 4 on there. Excuse me. There are a couple of little raggedy edges on mine. I noticed I needed a new blade, so I have ordered one of those, but I only just noticed it when on this cut. And I've had that blade for probably about a year since I got the machine. So they do last you a long, long time. And you all know how much stamping I do. So when you're colouring in smaller pieces like this, and I'm just touching up those couple of little areas. It's also a little smudge on this popsicle just here, which is why I think the scan and cut has picked it up. But just get my little snips in there. So when you're colouring small items, you can just hold them with your finger, or quite often I'll just get some repositionable tape and I just stick them onto my work surface like this. Now, I'm not going to be adding lots of shading and things, and they're only very, very small. So I'm not worrying about putting the printer paper that we normally put underneath, because these are going to be no blending or anything like that. So I'm just going to wing it like this. And I'm going to pick out some fun colours here. Have a couple of shades of pink. We'll do a couple of shades of purple. We'll do some mint as well, like this. So I'm just grabbing some basic Copic colours. As I say, I'm not going to do anything too complex on these. I just want them to look fun and brightly coloured, and for them to blend in really nicely with the other items we've got. So I have the RV 11, 13 and 14. I'm going to add just a little bit of shading around here. Super, super simple, nothing complicated. And you can see that repositionable tape is just enough to hold it in the right position there. Looks lovely and bright. For my cone, I'm just going to pick out a couple of colours here. So they've got E31, 34 and 37. You may hear Tilly, she's just gone down for nap time. Add a little bit of shadow in here. As I say, nothing complicated on these, Just want them to be really fun. And I'm going to add some lines on my waffle cone here. So I'm going to take my pen really, really straight up so I get a nice fine line. So it looks like a really cute waffle cone. Really just adds a little bit of interest into that one. Let's go with this one. This reminds me of a fab in England. You may or may not have heard of that. We'll just go with some fun colours here. Maybe a little bit of everything in this one. Of course, all your sprinkles and everything on there. You could add, we will add some Nuvo drops at the end just to emphasise our sprinkles. Number 2 done. So you can see how quickly these come together. I'm going to do this one in this. And I'll put some mint, oops, down the middle. Again, just a little bit for the stick, that wooden stick in there. And let's do our last one. Let's do our cone first, as we've got those colours here. So base colour, top colour, sorry, base colour again. So a little bit of shading. That. Blend it out. And then let's add in our waffle cone lines again. So nice high pens, you get a nice thin line. You can see here, you do not need a ruler. Your eye will fix it for you. Yeah. Nice little bit of waffle cone in there. And then let's do alternating colours. So we have a rippled ice cream. I'll go with a brighter purple, I think. I'll go in, this is the BV02, just a bit more purpley, like so. Move those off to the side. So let's now, we can mount up our card. Lovely 1-layer card. Sometimes it's just perfect for what you're looking for. So I'm going to alternate my around here, I think. And we're going to want to choose a sentiment. And I'm going to choose, with ice cream, anything is popsicle. And so we can choose where you want to put it. Again, this is how I do a card. So I tend to lay it out, then I work out where I want to put everything, and then I kind of go from there. I think we're going to put it down here like this. So let's grab our stamp platform back again. I could do it a little clean by the looks of it. So you'll notice I keep a craft mat in there as well. Put a magnet to hold that down on there. So when I do a sentiment, I just drop it down and I allow it to sort out straightness itself. You'll find you get a much better result that way. So I'm going to pick this up. And same ink again. Nice crisp sentiment on there. And now let's grab some foam tape and pop up our little ice creams. So I have some pieces on the edge here. Again, I'm using these non-stick scissors. If you did get the Hedgehog Hollow Tools hamper, then you'll find that these ones are in there because they are my favourites. And you can see I'm just cutting straight through the foam, not getting gummed up or anything at all. Really great for things like this. And then do this one. Piece there. And a piece there. Like so. Now we can stick them on. Smudged mine a little bit there. We can fix that. I'll show you what I do with a smudge. So I like to think we all get a smudge at some time or another. And first of all, I'm just going to put a little bit of heat over this sentiment to stop it smudging anymore. And I'm going to show you two different options for dealing with smudges. So the first one is to take another piece of cardstock, and just off to the side I have my stamp platform just on a piece that doesn't have all our supplies on. So I'm just stamping out another one just on plain white cardstock. So here's that other sentiment, and I've cut it out using my favourite thing, slanted sentiments. And I really tried to make my sentiments for the stamp set that I put in this one fit in these, because they're my absolute favourite. I love, there's that little slant on it. Of course, it's great having something that's so straight. And here I can just snip off that edge if it's a bit too long. I'm going to take a little bit of foam tape again. And I'm going to pop that down here. And we're going to put this over that smudged sentiment. So this is one way you can fix a smudged sentiment, is just to cut one out and pop it on the top like that. Now when you have a smudge like this, a sand eraser is a great way to go. Sometimes that won't work though. So I'm going to grab some of those beautiful sequins that Pretty Pink Posh put in the collection for us. So this is an exclusive mix. You won't be able to buy it anywhere else. It's just for Hedgehog Hollow. And I think I'm just going to put one of each down here. So you can always just cover things up with sequins. You could put sequins all around. And then, as I say, the other option you have is a sand eraser. And I'm just trying to scooch a little bit to get mine out the drawer. And I can show you how that works. I wasn't, of course, expecting to use it. But I will also link these up. Best tool ever. So what I can do is take my sand eraser. Whoops. Sequins everywhere. And there you are. It's come out perfectly. So you have the sequin option, you have the sand eraser option, and then we can add those finishing touches to our ice cream. So I'm going to take some purple glitter stickles, and I'm just doing little dots so it really looks like sprinkles on the top of your ice cream. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the Nuvo Crystal Glaze. This is clear. And I'm going to start just going over the tops, just the ice cream parts, the top of the popsicle, the top of the cones. And then when that dries, that's going to give us a clear layer, and it's going to look all glossy like ice cream. So you really could have good enough to eat on your card. So this is a bit like glossy accents. I do find this dries a bit quicker, and I get less air pockets in it. You can also put it over the top of stickles, and you'll still have all Nuvo drops or stickles. You'll still have that nice glittery bit that will dry in the clear. So you won't lose any of that definition. And you can also put Nuvo drops of the glitter over the top of that glossy layer as well. Now I'm not going to move this one around too much, just because otherwise my crystal glaze will drip. So I just want it to dry first of all. It takes, I don't know, maybe an hour or so usually to dry. We're in a pretty humid environment, so it takes a little bit longer. If you have a radiator, pop it on the radiator, it will help it along a little bit. But otherwise just leave it out to dry. Sometimes overnight works perfectly. So quickly wanted to just show you something that I realised after the video. So the ink, I was kind of looking at the ink and I realised that I'd heat set these and I'd left it a little while because I had cut them out using the scan and cut, but the ink wasn't staying as fast as I wanted it to. So I did decide to actually read the instructions on the back. Clearly I had not had enough cups of coffee this morning. This is a dye ink and it does say that it's waterproof on there. So it is an alcohol or solvent based ink. Therefore we shouldn't really be using our Copics with it. I did get away with it on these, but not on some larger pieces when I was colouring in some of the mice. So if you are going to do this technique, use my favourite Lawn Fawn Jet Black, which I'll link below the video for you or in that email as well. Mine has walked away with Maddie. I think it's down in her craft room. I shall go and have a look for it now. But you can also see how that glitter dried in there and really does look like sprinkles in our glossy accents, crystal glaze even, that's there as well. But I did also notice how this is kind of sticking up because we put those mediums directly on there. So I'm going to make a quick amendment. You can decide if you want to make this amendment or not, depending on your cards and your preference. And I'm going to very carefully just pop this under here. And I'm going to trim a little bit off the top here to make it 4 3/8, and then when I turn it around, put it down to 4 inches. Like so. And then I decided I'm going to pop it onto a black piece of cardstock, which I have here. This is not included in your kit. You could also use one of the bling pieces included in your kit if you wanted to. I'm going to grab my funky tape runner. And I'm just going to trim this side off a little bit. So I have lots of my coloured cardstocks, particularly my favourite ones. These are the Lawn Fawn cardstock. I have them trimmed down to card front sized pieces of cardstock. And I have that done at the FedEx office store, or what used to be Kinko's. Like so. And now I'm just going to mount that onto a regular card base. Of course you will have yours, depends on how you wanted to create yours. And I'm going to be naughty and I'm not going to score it. But if I grab that Teflon bone folder, it is going to firm up my crease and it's going to get minimal cracking along there. So I've only got a tiny little crack there. Again, if you did use your Scor-Buddy, which you saw me use in the beginning, it would work perfectly. I very rarely make cards before a video, so if you wondered why I made these changes now, I just don't find, I think it kind of becomes a bit pre-rehearsed, and so I just like to kind of create with you. Sometimes it's a disaster, sometimes, most of the time I should say, it comes out really well, but I love that, and I love just how that little black on the edge there really makes it pop. So I hope you love this card. Don't forget to check out the other 3 videos, we've got some great things in store. See you soon, bye!